Yes, Muhammad was married to Aisha when she was 6 years old. Now we will respond to a video where a Dawa YouTuber tries to explain why this was supposedly acceptable. Bro's claim is that in Islam, marriage isn't about age. It's about meeting certain criteria. Let's see.
First of all, Islam doesn't give a specific age for marriage, and therefore we have specific criteria instead. The first criteria is that both parties that are getting married must have reached puberty.
That's simply not true. Islam doesn't require puberty for marriage. Let me explain. Surah At-Talaq 65:4 clearly lays out the waiting period, or iddah, for divorced women. It mentions 3 groups: those who no longer menstruate, postmenopausal, those who still menstruate, and those who haven't started menstruating yet, meaning prepubescent girls.
So it's not permissible to consummate a marriage with a girl who hasn't menstruated yet.
Iddah only applies if the marriage was consummated. If there's no intercourse, there's no waiting period. So how can a prepubescent girl have a waiting period after divorce unless the marriage was consummated? This isn't just about marriage before puberty. It's about sex before puberty. So no, Islam doesn't require puberty for marriage. Yup, the video should end here because his main premise was very much a girl has to reach puberty as the criteria for marriage in Islam. His whole video was grounded in that idea. The rest of the video, even if I hypothetically agree that his puberty argument was valid. So keep that in mind.
Just because someone has reached puberty doesn't mean they're ready to get married. Like mental maturity, for example, which brings me on to my next criteria for marriage. In order to get married, a wali of the girl has to approve of it, and that's usually the father. Anyways, I mentioned the approval of a wali because usually they know if she's mature, if she's responsible, if she's ready for marriage, not only physically but also mentally.
Let me get this straight. You're saying a girl is mature enough to marry, but too immature to decide for herself. So her wali has to make that decision for her? Isn't maturity about being capable of making your own decisions? Here, what you're really admitting is that puberty does not equal emotional maturity, which means Islam allows girls to marry when they aren't fully mature. Therefore, the wali's involvement doesn't solve the problem. It exposes it.
But anyways, what I'm saying is that society accepted this. They were fully okay with this. People lived for less time, so marriage from a young age was seen as much more normal.
Well, I actually don't need to explain why but it was normal back then, bro. Argument doesn't work, because you've already admitted that child marriage is still permissible in Islam today.
It's the common criticism of people who agree with me. They say, alright, so this marriage, it was okay back then, but then they say, wait a minute, so this was okay back then, but it isn't now. Doesn't this take away from the supposed timelessness of Islam? And yeah, again, this sounds like a great point. You know, how come this doesn't apply anymore? Does this mean Islam was meant for those times and it needs changes? No, we don't need any changes in Islam.
Thanks. I appreciate the honesty. So let's step back for a moment. 1. Islam doesn't require puberty for marriage, because the Quran explicitly permits it in Surah At-Talaq 65:4. 2. It admits that puberty does not equal emotional maturity, which is why a wali must give permission, contradicting the idea that girls are actually mature when they reach puberty.
So subhanAllah, again, we see that someone uses something to criticize Islam and it backfires on them.